Well, thank you, and welcome back, everybody. My name's Alan Boucher with the I Choose Fitness Coalition, and on behalf of Bob Sisk, the other coalition leader, I'd like to welcome you to our next guest speaker, Dr. Michael Klaper. Dr. Klaper has practiced preventative and nutritional medicine for more than 4 decades, which I don't see as possible. He must have gone to medical schools when he was 14 or 15, but he served as director of the nonprofit Institute of Nutrition Education and Research, and as a member of the Nutrition Task Force of the American Medical Student Association. Dr. Klaper is the founding director of Moving Medicine Forward. Moving Medicine Forward brings nutritional education into med schools for our doctors of the future. He lectures internationally and is known for explaining complicated and complex medical topics in plain English. And I've seen him do it. He's good at doing that, breaking down the complex, making it simple for all of us to understand. And that's the key thing here. He's helping people clearly understand what your options are and what our options are for healing and taking care of our bodies. He's passionate for people, animals, and our endangered planet. Dr. Klaper advocates for a whole food, plant-based diet and compassionate living as the keys to healing for us all. So again, welcome, Dr. Klaper. We're glad to have you on board.
Thank you, Alan. It's lovely to be here. And I just love the concept, I choose fitness. What a great active frame to put this program in. Good for you.
Well, thank you. A little background on that maybe for you. You know, the I Choose Fitness movement was founded, and it took on a life of its own here in the U.S. When we began recovering from the recent pandemic. And it grew out of our working with fitness and wellness professionals to not only survive throughout this pandemic, but to thrive by, in a sense, reinventing ourselves, hitting a reset button, and finding new ways to help our patients, our clients, men and women throughout the country get through these difficult times. But what we realized as everybody was reopening, we needed to expand that cause, not to just work with the owners themselves and the professionals themselves, but also at the grassroots level to really help people say, I choose fitness over all the unhealthy habits that have crept in over the last year and a half. It's interesting. I'll start our little talk here with a specific question about our movement. Because we've kind of put a definition on fitness to go beyond just what most people would associate with physical fitness. And we look at it as a combination of exercise and movement coupled with the fuel that we put in our bodies, nutrition and everything else. And then finally, a positive mindset, exercise, nutrition, and mindset. And we believe that all 3 of these working in unison can really help people achieve optimal health. I'm curious, what have you observed since the pandemic hit when it comes to people's exercise patterns, eating behaviors, and people's ability to maintain a positive attitude through what have been such difficult times?
Oh my, well,
that's a loaded question.
That's a loaded question, but it's an important one, of course. And haven't we all seen this epic pageant play out here, where we take basic human nature and we are inquisitive beings, we're also lazy beings, we're creatures of habit, we're comfort-seeking creatures, we want love and security, these are all basic human needs. And then add in 2 semi-chaotic factors of modern life with all the meetings and obligations and kids and money issues. And then there's the confinement of COVID that now you got to do it all in your apartment, your world gets something small to do this. And good heavens, it's like taking, a bunch of marbles and put them in a shoebox and shaking them up there. And no wonder when you open it up, things are pretty chaotic. And it's what we've seen. And you and I care about overall fitness of people. We've seen the human condition, human health, take a hit, be a victim of these unfortunate forces, because whether it's food that you mentioned, or exercise, or sleep, or stress, all those things that we need to be in balance and be nourishing to us, have all gotten squishy and soft, and we cut ourselves a lot of slack, so much that it's the final common pathway, sitting on the couch shoveling in Cheetos and Oreos while you're binge watching something on Netflix. And that's the place, man, you don't want to wind up at. And so you and I and all our colleagues are trying to resuscitate people, their lifestyle and their bodies. Let's take a look at what you're really eating. What's the minimum you need to be healthy? What's the minimum exercise you need to do? Maintain your flexibility, your strength, your conditioning. And how do you get some sanity and order and positive direction in your life going? Those are the big tasks in front of all of us, but especially us in the helping professions, as you are and I am. Boy, each person, that's a bit of a train wreck. You got to start sorting through the pieces of everyone's individual lives. These are very challenging times. Who knew that one little virus can be so disruptive?
Well, this has not been anything. While COVID is new to all of us, the work that you've been doing to try to create more positive and healthy behaviors has been going on for decades. I was doing some research and was reading that some of your work and your studies that poor health can be prevented and even reversed with a smarter nutritional plan for each of us and food decision-making process. Can you go into that a little bit? I found that very, very intriguing, both the prevention and the reversal of, certain problems and diseases.
Absolutely. We notice whether you're the patient, person / owner of a body, or you're a physician watching these disease processes unfold. We see, and when I grew up, it was just accepted. Well, you get older, you get fatter, you get sicker, your blood pressure goes up, you get diabetes, you get a heart attack and stroke, and that's your life. And that's just natural living. That's what's supposed to happen.
Right.
But so many things have split that idea up into shards of nonsense in a way. Now, these are not natural diseases. The animals out in nature don't develop diabetes and atherosclerosis and hypertension when they're eating their natural diet, and they stay active all their lives. And if you take a human being, a human baby, as I have seen now, I've delivered several dozen children to plant-based parents, vegan parents, and watched them grow up eating whole food, plant-based diets. And they wind up lean and healthy and bright and energetic, and they have normal blood pressures. They have normal blood sugars. They don't develop lupus. They don't develop clogged arteries. There's no reason these diseases should develop. As the plaque that I had in my office says, it's the food. It's been the food all along.
I love that.
And you feed a kid on cheeseburgers and nachos and
Happy Meals and frozen pizzas and all that.
Absolutely, and you'll create not only an adult who's obese and diabetic, but you'll create a child in that mold as well. So it starts with the food. Absolutely, all the other factors. The child's got to be encouraged to be physically active, to be well loved, to get enough sleep. Absolutely, that's all important. A sane, loving, steady household is absolutely imperative. But you raise a child on a healthy plant-based diet, they don't develop these diseases. That's tenet one. But also, if you've got a human being who's been eating those foods and developed these diseases, turns out that the same whole food plant-based diet run through the body day after day, week after week, month after month, reverses these diseases right before your eyes. The obesity melts away and the arteries open up and the high blood pressure comes down and the joints stop hurting and the asthmatic lungs stop wheezing so much and the migraine headaches get better and they turn into normal, healthy people right before your eyes. It's the most satisfying kind of medicine to practice. So knowing that these diseases can be prevented and even reversed and true health restored, as a physician, I tell the medical students, what more could you want for your patients to help them achieve this gift and earn this wonderful state of health?
It must be wonderful to see people that you've been treating for years go from taking 15, 20 different medications to just taking maybe some nutritional supplements to perhaps, some minerals that are missing in their diet or particular foods that they just don't care for.
Absolutely. It brings tears to my eyes to think of all the wonderful moments we've shared in the office. Someone comes in, you haven't seen him for 3 months, and the last time you see him, he was obese, and you adjusted his insulin dosage. Also, he comes in now, he's 20 pounds lighter. Doc, I haven't felt this good in years. That's music to a physician's ears. And so, yes, it's really how medicine should be practiced these days. And I tell the students, unless you really work on the root causes of disease and health, if your practice is just going to be seeing once a month and raise their dosage of metformin and raise their statin dose, you ought to lose some weight, Joe, come back in a couple of months, you'll leave medicine. They're all going to, my colleagues say, they're all getting sicker and fatter and they all die and they all need stents. That's right, doctor. Don't talk to them about what they're eating. Now they're living their life. That's what you're going to see. But it doesn't have to be that way. And that's the message I'm trying to bring to the medical students before pharmacosclerosis sets in their brain and they think drugs are the only treatment for diseases.
Well, what better place to start, and that's your movement, moving medicine forward, and that's your love and your passion, than, bringing some new and different ways of seeing things to our medical students who ultimately are taking care of millions and millions of people, and by getting the word out. Why is it that, and you and I were talking earlier, about my in-laws, both also in the medical field and medical profession. And we've had many a dinner conversation over the training and education coming out of the medical schools, both, I'll say primarily here in the United States, because we do know it's different in other parts of the world, in other cultures, in terms of the things that they find useful. But why is traditional medicine considered plant-based diet and just nutrition in general to be until recently, so revolutionary as part of the curriculum and as part of the important things for our doctors to know?
Oh, Alan, that is the crux of the issue here. And we're all the medical specialties. Doesn't matter if you're in internal medicine, rheumatology, dermatology, pediatrics. They're all dealing with dietary diseases. Every one of them. Their waiting room is full of people who are making themselves sick what they're eating. And yet, and I tell the students, we practice medicine like what our patients are eating has no effect on these diseases. They just drop out of a tree on the person, and we have to figure out how to rescue them. As scientists, how can you defend that? It's just outrageous. So why does that happen? A couple of reasons. One, we just blow right past nutrition. Western medicine does not honor the effective diet, and so we're not taught about nutrition. It's not respected as a clinical science. It's a sissy science. I'll send them to the dietitian. She'll give them a diet. Don't bother me. I'm up at the operating room doing real medicine.
That's right.
But what are they doing in the operating room? They're dealing with the infections or the infarctions and the amputations from what their patients are eating. They're all dealing with dietary diseases that could be reversed in the outpatient clinic before these radical surgeries are needed. And the third reason, of course, is they're eating the same food themselves, from the burgers in the hospital cafeteria to the steaks and lobsters they eat in the restaurant. They're not going to tell their patients don't eat the stuff. They,
right.
A long time. So this is the three-headed hydra we're trying to to slay here, because none of that is necessary. We should. How beautiful it'd be for a professor to have an obese diabetic patient say, let's talk about the effect of this patient's daily diet on creating this body. It would change everything, and that's the change we're trying to affect through moving medicine forward.
How many years has it been that you've been working with new medical students in medical schools throughout the country?
Right. Well, after almost 50 years in the clinics, seeing patients one at a time, I said, I got to get to the root of it here. The acupuncture point is the medical schools. And so that's been, going into our 4th year now. And if people want to learn about it, go to our website, Moving Medicine Forward, and find out what we're doing and how you can support us if you feel it's worthy of your support.
That's wonderful. Is it fair to say, and I don't mean to oversimplify things, but trying to take a note out of your book of making the complicated simple, until recently is it fair to say that until recently medicine the medical training has been devoted to the treatment and not the prevention of most illness and disease? Is that fair?
Absolutely. It's Band-Aid medicines, great Band-Aids, powerful Band-Aids, no question about it. But the patients already say they've already had their heart attack, their arteries already clogged, the disease is already established. It's treatment. It's not the highest medicine is helping the patient not need it in the first place.
Right. So I'm a pediatrician, or I'm an internist, general medicine. I'm at the front end taking care of men, women, children throughout the country. When you're talking to these doctors that are going to all different disciplines, and they're so focused on, my residency and here's my specialty, no matter what it is. And we know there are literally hundreds of specialized medical fields that are out there helping people. What do they need? What's the 1 or 2 things that, regardless of specialty, that doctors going forward need to emphasize with their patients that historically maybe they hadn't, even if nutrition isn't their thing, or it's not, their area of expertise, and they may not feel 100% comfortable, with
that's such an important question. And I tell the students in my lectures, I say, listen, even if you don't do this yourself, you at least owe the patient a handout on the way out the door. By the way, and the concept that I want the doctor and the patient to both understand that I practiced almost 50 years before anybody put these 2 words in the same sentence for me. Disease reversal. This is a reversible disease. You die of type 2 diabetes, it's a reversible disease. Your clogged arteries, it's a reversible disease. Your high blood pressure, it's a reversible disease. You can reverse this, and through diet and lifestyle. So both the doctor and the patient need to understand that. And as I said, on the way out the door, I have a 4-page handout. Say, listen, you want to reverse your diabetes, you want to reverse your high blood pressure, here. Go to these websites, watch these videos, read these articles, see this plant-based dietitian, and come back and see me in 2 weeks. And tell me what you've learned. Boy, that changes their life. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, that's the type of information we want to be able to get into these people's hands. I'm going to make a little note of that. We'll for the follow-up following the conference and the summit that we're hosting, maybe we can get that kind of information in the hands of men and women who are in our audience today that are eager to make these changes, because the patient is as much, we can blame the medical field, but the patient's part of the problem. Doc, I know that type 2 diabetes can be reversed and changed, but give me a pill, write me a script, right? You can't go 10 minutes without seeing, the big pharma with a commercial on TV, every single channel promoting the latest drug to be that next great Band-Aid. So we've been trained as patients too, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And, that gets down to, again, that ultimate, dare I say, laziness in the human spirit there. Give me a pill, I don't want to change anything.
Right.
But of course, it doesn't work that way. And in my slide presentation to the med students, right at the end, I have a very controversial slide. I list all the diseases that I tell them that you're going to spend the majority of your professional hours treating, hypertension, diabetes, etc. And then I say, knowing how reversible these diseases are, and I click the slide and big red letters. You want to heal these patients or don't you? I mean, really, why are you going into medicine? Want to heal these patients or don't you? If you're just going to deal around their medicine,
writing scripts, right?
Then then what are you doing in medicine? Want to heal them? Then get real about why they're sitting in front of you, doctor, overweight, hypertensive, clogged up, diabetic, inflamed, from what they're running through their bloodstream every 4 hours with their diet. That's where to start, doctor. You want to heal them? Get real about what they're eating, and here's where you can learn about it.
Wow. All right, I'm going to read you a quote. It's yours. So okay. You said, "I wish someone had taught me 50 years ago how a patient's diet is key to reversing many of today's most feared degenerative diseases known to medicine." And what you've been saying totally supports that. That's a powerful statement. Why has traditional medicine training historically left out or de-emphasized diet and the fuel that we put into our bodies? Is there some reasons within the AMA, the American Medical Association, the schools themselves? All of these are political and, corporate entities, if you will. Is it inertia? Is it a decided?
All of the above. Absolutely. Certainly inertia. We don't want to change what we're eating. We like to taste those burgers and steaks in our mouths. We don't want to feel like we're giving up anything. They don't believe that a diet without meat can possibly give you a big, strong, healthy body.
Where am I going to get my protein? Right.
Where to get my protein. But as you say, Big Pharma has his fingers in all 4 years of medical education. And when it comes to the treatment of a disease, boom, it's which drug are you going to prescribe? There's no question that's first line. And the literature, the drug ads, when diet and lifestyle fail, that's the first line, right? They've set you right up to not even believe that it's worthwhile doing. When truth is, diet and lifestyle would cure these people, but they don't make any money off of healthy people. So there's all these factors, and we've got to start unraveling it. Fortunately, the medical students are waking up. There's been some wonderful films like Forks Over Knives and What the Health and Cowspiracy. And in every med school class now, there's 30 or 40 students who've seen Forks Over Knives. The lights on. They've seen these patients get healthy right before your eyes. It's a lot easier once they've seen this. They say once you look behind the curtain, you can't pretend you don't know what's behind the curtain.
Right, you can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it. And a lot of these kids have seen it already, and that makes it much easier as a point of departure to get them on the right path.
If I understand correctly, you've established, as you're going from med school to med school and being invited in, you actually have established a core curriculum to teach these young people that are going to be treating, hopefully me, certainly my children and grandchildren in the years to come, this power to be able to prevent and reverse disease. Maybe you can just think of just recently some of the classes that you've taught. In your mind's eye, picturing those students in front of you, can you share how these young, energetic, future medical leaders react initially to the whole concept of nutrition? Do you get a few in the back row that are kind of doing this? And you got to sit up in the front row. I mean, what's the reaction?
Oh, Ellen, you must have been in some of my lectures. That's exactly what I see. First of all, I get invited in by the students, and so we do an end run around administration. So students,
that saves time. That saves a lot of time.
And there's a whole world of lifestyle medicine. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine fosters LMIGs, lifestyle medicine interest groups. And so there's always 40, 50 students who are really into lifestyle medicine, and they're the ones who invite me in and to get all their other colleagues to come in. Those are the ones that I really want to validate their viewings, because people say, oh, lifestyle medicine, that's California woo-woo stuff. No, it's the most powerful medicine of all, because it reverses these diseases rather than just patches up, bypasses the problem like vascular surgery usually does. That said, there's so much information that these young folks need that I put together a master class in whole food plant-based nutrition, in clinical plant-based nutrition. And it's available to the public. You can download them for a small fee. And if you go to Moving Medicine Forward and click on Masterclass in Plant-Based Clinical Nutrition, there are 12 units or sample cases and references, etc. And that's the core of the information that if every med student had that in his or her head when they graduated, they'd be a much more effective physician. So check out the masterclasses in plant-based clinical nutrition.
That's really cool. What do you think if you had to put your finger on the biggest obstacle to plant-based diets becoming more accepted in mainstream here in Western world culture? What is it? What would you say is the biggest obstacle that you face?
Right. The fundamental meat myth that, again, we touched on, that you can't be healthy, you can't be strong like a bull without eating animal flesh. Truth is, bulls don't eat animal flesh, and the biggest, strongest animals on the planet, elephants and buffaloes and giraffes, they're vegan animals. They do it all off of plant-based foods, but that's a very formidable prejudice to get past. The idea that what am I going to eat? Where am I going to get my protein? It's just eating lettuce and raisins. It's rabbit food. I'm going to wind up weak. That is the biggest deterrent. And again, my respected medical colleagues never learned anything about nutrition, so they can't refute that. Yeah, that's right. Protein comes from meat. That won't work. Right. And how about beans and grains and lentils and chickpeas and plenty of protein around? I've never had a gorilla in the office saying, "Doc, where am I going to get my protein?" And, they do it pretty good off leaves and fruits, and
they're pretty darn strong animals to boot. So
absolutely.
One of my greatest fears is, as my kids are getting older and they're in young adulthood now, and they've graduated and they're starting their lives and thinking of starting their own families. And I think of a lot of these young children, and right here in my own community, just watching these young kids over the last year and a half with the shutdown, not being able to go to school, not being able to get that social interaction, which is so critical for their young development. And I think to their activities and what that did to just reinforce the lack of physical activity and eating right and moving it in a positive direction. You mentioned that, you've had the ability to watch some of your adult patients bring their children up through healthier eating, healthier nutrition, a more plant-based diet. Can you just, if one or two of those patients come to mind, can you just share a story or two for our audience of how dramatic this could be and how much healthier these young children can be if we start them young with proper nutrition and diet?
Oh, absolutely. Again, when a baby's nursing at the breast, they're getting all the milk they should ever consume, and they should be breastfed for the first year, 2 years, and then whole plant foods are introduced, mashed up fruits and veggies, etc., and off they go, and they wind up growing big and strong. There's lots of protein in the beans and the lentils, etc. And a long time ago in the 1980s, I wrote a little book called Pregnancy, Children, and the Vegan Diet. And if you just Google that and hit images, look at the cover, and you've got all these young kids who have grown up as young vegan adults now, and right in front of you, you've got the before and after. And you, sir, had a close encounter with one of my fine pupils that demonstrated this, and that's Ocean Robbins. I met Ocean when he was 11 years old, back in 1986 or so, and he was vegan then, and I've watched this fine young man grow up into this formidable adult. Ocean is 40. Oh my God, how did that happen?
Not a kid, yeah, right, where'd that go?
Really, exactly. And you see Ocean, he's muscular, he goes to the gym and works out, he's got 2 sons of his own, and on a vegan, on a plant-based diet. It's not an issue. age. I mean, people have been growing up on eating plants since time began. They're doing it around the world as we speak. And there's no reason that the human being should develop obesity and clogged arteries and high blood pressure unless you're running the wrong fuel through the system on a daily basis. So yes, just Google vegan children and hit images, and you'll see your screen fill up with all these wonderful kids growing up on plant-based diets.
That's wonderful. I'll kind of start wrapping things up here for us with just a couple of things relating to some research again that I did in terms of what you're putting out into into the public domain so that people can learn and they can get new tools and new resources. And you actually created a toolkit for your student leaders, collections of online resources, strategies, tools to basically empower nutritionally aware students and professionals in their community and to share worldwide. Where do you think your students and professionals are making the greatest inroads and progress in helping make people healthier and happier using some of these tools?
Well, when I grew up, I heard the old American folk legend of Johnny Appleseed, who went through the American West, scattering seeds of apple trees and planting them. Never saw the trees, never saw them grow and sprout and have apples, but he knew that he was planting some very important seeds. And lo and behold, I've kind of become a medical Johnny Appleseed here. I know both the personal lectures at medical schools, which we are hoping to start again, as well as the hundreds and hundreds of students I reach through Zoom classes. And if there's anyone out there connected with a medical school, or you've got a medical student in your family, and you would like me to Zoom into their class and give them the lecture entitled "What I Wish I Learned About Nutrition in Medical School," right. I'll be glad to do that, by the way, but it's also on video. You can watch it on my website. Go to drklaper.com, and it's all spelled out, DOCTORKLAPER.com, and click on "What I Wish I Learned in Medical School About Nutrition." The hundreds and hundreds of students we've reached, those seeds have been planted. And I tell them, you may not act on this, go through your residency, get out into practice, but then start practicing medicine like you know it ought to be practiced. You want to heal these patients, then somewhere along the line, healthy nutrition is the core of it. And I said, I'm the happiest doctor I know. I want you to be the happiest doctor you know. And if you do, then if you want to become that doctor, then get real about what your patients are eating. And so we've got all sorts of tools on the drklaper.com website, lots of videos to watch. We've got our masterclass there. So I'm the early stages. I'm only doing this less than 4 years. I'm waiting to get the letters back. Doc, I took your course. I heard your lectures. It turns out I've just been appointed as associate professor of surgery at the University of whatever, and we're doing nutrition rounds once a week with my medical students, and we're talking about plant-based nutrition and reversing these diseases. I know those letters are going to be coming in.
Absolutely, soon. Those seeds are they're being fertilized right now.
Yeah, they're starting to sprout.
They're starting to sprout. Just so they got to break through the surface, and we'll see it. Do you foresee in your lifetime, hopefully, how far away are we from seeing this being taught as part of more of the core curriculum in the first 2 years of med school?
Oh, the key question, because we went to I was at the University of Washington in Seattle. I gave a rip-roaring lecture. It was great, and this professor comes up to me afterwards, and yes, he was standing in the back like this. A nice man. Right. He said, "Good lecture, Doc, but I'll tell you, until they start asking about nutrition on the national board exams, we're not going to be teaching this stuff. It's enough to get biochemistry and physiology into these kids. The national board doesn't ask about this. And that's the key. You need to get this on the national board." So we at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine went to the National Board of Medical Examiners, say, well, what does it take to get questions on the national board exams? And well, we don't know anything about it. Well, we'll give you the questions. And they said, okay, you give us the questions. We'll start putting them on the board. So that process is happening slowly, but it's starting to happen. So you're asking, what's it going to take? Well, that's one thing. Once they start asking on the board exam, then the medical schools will start teaching it for real. And so trying to make that happen.
Yep.
So
that's great. That is fantastic.
So over the next 5 years, 10 years, and I still plan to be on the road teaching. You watch, you're going to start seeing applied nutrition as part of the medical school nutrition. It's coming down the road. Absolutely.
And it's one of the reasons we're putting together this summit and this entire movement nationally, because we feel that proper education and putting good information into people's hands that they may not have seen before will help each and every person make their own decisions, because truly we have to make these decisions at an individual level and not be told what to do by, whether it's entirely, with all due respect to a doctor and with all due respect to, any political entities or, government agencies that say, this is what you need to do. We have to make our own personal decisions as to what's best.
Absolutely. Now, and I don't want this interview to end without acknowledging the powerful role that educators and communicators like you are playing, because so much of medicine, like industry and everything else, it starts to change when the public starts demanding it. And the doctors will learn if their patients start asking, what should I eat, doctor? I heard about plant-based nutrition. You think it's a good thing for me, doc? When doctors start hearing about this, well, maybe I should read that. I saw that article go by. Maybe I should read it tonight. And that starts opening the doors in their heads and their hearts to this idea. And so you are playing a very important catalytic role, and your summit and your colleagues. That's why I'm doing this. Is a powerful way to practice medicine. Is the term word doctor comes from the same Greek word as doctorate, as teacher. We're teachers.
You are teachers.
And absolutely. And so I want to thank you and acknowledge you for helping awaken the public so they start demanding medicine that really is curative on the most basic levels, and starts with folks like you.
We thank you for that, and we thank you for participating. I'm going to ask one last question, and I know you're busy. There's someone listening to this conversation right now in our audience who's been procrastinating. They're on the fence and they know that they need to do something, but they feel stuck. What would you say to that one man or woman who is just stuck in neutral right now?
Have one healthy meal. Have a salad today. Get a bowl of vegetable soup in you. Steam up some broccoli. Do one thing good for your body nutritionally, and in a few hours you're going to feel lighter and better. And wow, I did something for myself, and then my body appreciated it. Or plan out 3 healthy plant-based meal, oatmeal in the morning, oatmeal and fruit, a little bit of oat milk on it. Say lunches and dinner, big salad, hearty vegetable soup, healthy, veggie or veggie burger sandwich. Say some chili for dinner. Have one day of whole food plant-based eating, and see how good you feel. How nice your bowels like it. And wow, and you saw yourself doing something for yourself and reaping the benefits. And once you do it, you can't say, I can't do that. You just did it.
But it starts with that one little step.
Starts with that step. Take that first step. And then the second step gets easier. And the third one gets easier after that. And you deserve it. Don't go through life as a medical patient. There's no power in that. Stay out of the clutches of people like me as much as you possibly can. Go live your life. I tell my patients, I want to see you in 2 places only. The health food store buying your tempeh, and on the bike path where I'll wave to you. That's the place I want to see you. If you break your arm, come and see me. But other than that, go live your life.
Live your life. Get out on the golf course. Do what you love to do.
Absolutely. Life goes by so fast.
The kids are out there doing it with you as well, and
absolutely
focus on those good things. Well,
absolutely.
Dr. Michael Klaper, it's been a pleasure to have you as part of our team here. We look forward to speaking with you again in the near future. And on behalf of everybody at the I Choose Fitness Coalition, thanks again.
Thank you. Best to you and all your listeners. Long, healthy, happy life. Live long and prosper.
Amen.